Welcome to Horsepower Hour here on Hillsdale TV. I'm your host, Zack, and today we get an inside look at a couple of things. First, track promotion at its finest. Second, the startup class that's taking the area by storm, the Bandoleros. We're going to talk about it all coming up with Jeff Parish right here on Horsepower Hour on Hillsdale TV.
In this moment, what matters most is the quality of your independent agent.
Glad you're okay, Sarah. We'll take care of everything.
And the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance.
More Insurance Service is your local independent auto owners insurance agency.
The Sunrise Shops are here to serve you. With drinks to quench every thirst and snacks aplenty, we have a great convenience selection. At Sunrise, we brew our signature coffee every day to ensure its freshness. We also have the area's largest 16-head fountain soda machine. No wonder our customers keep coming back. Great quality, great service, that's Sunrise. With convenient locations in Jonesville, Sunrise Shops are always right around the corner.
Welcome back to Horsepower Hour here on Hillsdale TV. I'm your host, Zack. First and foremost, don't forget to join us on social media, facebook.com/Hillsdale TV. Also, Horsepower Hour with Zack on Facebook. Be sure to join the conversation and let us know what you think about Bandoleros at their finest and track promotion by Jeff Parish. And the reason I want to know about all that is because that's what we're talking about today. Jeff Parish has gracefully let us intrude on his time, and let's bring Jeff in now as we will talk to him. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us and welcome to the show.
My pleasure, Zack. Thank you for having me.
Jeff, the first thing that I want to know is I want to know a little bit about you, a little bit about your history. You've been around auto racing at its finest for some time, starting off naturally as a spectator and then working your way into a driver and just right on up the ranks.
That's correct. I've been involved in racing since I think 1976 or 77. I started going to the races, and we built our first car as a project in 1978.
So, Jeff, what led you to take on one of the most daunting tasks that there is to do around auto racing, and that is track promotion? You've been a track promoter of a couple of different tracks, and you retired from the promoting business out of the Springport Speedway just a couple of years ago. Talk us through your career. What possesses a guy to say, I'm going to run a racetrack?
Well, it's a long story. I'll try to truncate it here a little bit. I grew up going to the races at the Whittemore Speedway. Whittemore is a nonprofit club, and the proceeds that they earn, if they make a profit, go to help area kids with scholarships for college. And Whittemore was the oldest continuous running speedway, and still is, in Michigan. What happened was they were having some trouble. There's turnover with the race club and people that manage the racing from within the club, and they had some financial troubles a few years, and the track was in danger of closing. And myself and some other people came up with a plan to save it. We dug it out of debt. In 1 year's time, we went from, they were $50,000 in debt with zero credit and no income stream at the time, and we came up with a battle plan to dig them out, and we did. And at the end of the year, I think we had about $50,000 in the bank, and
Wow.
that was kind of unheard of at the time, or for the area, because that area of the state has been in pretty much a recession or depression since the 70s. And it kind of made a name for me in the speedway business.
Sure.
And a lot of doors opened for me after that point.
Well, I mean, the fact that you were able to not only pull a track out of debt, but you did something that not a lot of people can figure out how to do in our sport, and that's you ended up on the green side of the statistic, and that in itself, Jeff, is pretty much amazing to me.
Well, I'd like to take all the credit, but there were a lot of people involved, and part of the reason that I've had success in promoting is always surround yourself with talented people, and then let them go to work. And I've been very fortunate to have a lot of talented people, including my wife by my side, and that has been key to successes that we've had. We left Whittemore after a year because some opportunities opened up for us at Owasso Speedway, and my first time visiting Owasso, they had 24 cars in the front side and probably about 150, 200 people in the stands. And we came in at mid-season, 4th of July, and at the year-end show, we had 138 cars and well over 1,000 people.
Wow.
And we've had great success in team building and people to work for the greater good of whatever track we're working at, and that's key in having a successful speedway.
Absolutely. So now I want to ask you something that, we've all got our opinions on it. We've all joined the conversation. Your last track that you promoted was the Springport Speedway, which is one of Michigan's newest raceways. And you promoted during a time where social media became the main platform to do a lot of promotional stuff, but it also became the main platform for a lot of disrespectful stuff and negative stuff to come around the world of auto racing and speedways. Talk about the difficulty to, balance making sure that you're a professional and you're just promoting online, but also defending your track and defending your people when it comes to those quote-unquote haters or those keyboard warriors that get on there.
Well, you have to take it with a grain of salt. If you are promoting, you have to know that this is a passion-filled business. And if it wasn't a passion-filled business, then there'd be a lot of boarded-up speedways because people would find something else better to do. And because it is that, and because people have varying skill sets in how they're able to enunciate things or communicate their ideas, then sometimes when they get on social media, what they really mean doesn't come off well. And sometimes it comes off very clearly. But for the most part, when you're in management and you're doing your best and people know that you're doing your best, they will usually side with you. That's not to say that we haven't made our share of mistakes. We have. And that's one thing about mistakes is if you make them and you learn from them, then usually you don't make them again. or they might not be as painful the next time.
Sure.
And because of that, you know, we've successfully went through a few minefields, and we're very blessed to have the backing of a lot of drivers across the Midwest. And so because of that, I usually don't have a real rough time on social media, because we've had enough people race for us that know our heart's in the right place and we're trying to do the right things for short track racing. And usually if there's an issue, we have more than our share of people that understand our position.
Absolutely. And the thing too, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the most grease. So, you know, if you're the one that's on there, you know, making a bunch of hoopla, you're going to get the attention, because 90% of the people are happy with the way things are going. We're conversating today with Jeff Parish, former track promoter almost everywhere in Michigan. And Jeff, I want to pass along a question, because people do know you as a really good speedway promoter. You know, if you're not already, probably some people would say that you deserve to be in the Michigan Motorsports Hall of Fame for your promoting and whatnot. But Steve Martinez joins us on Facebook, and he says, with as many asphalt tracks having an ABC style set of rules, do you think it would benefit the dirt tracks to go to that same style of rules for engines, carburetors, tires, etc., to promote the budget teams to get back into racing?
Well, that's a good question for a dirt guy. I think that the ABC philosophy works pretty good, because once a car becomes a stock car, it's never going to be anything else other than material for the crusher.
Absolutely.
And in pavement, there's a lot of old cars around because pavement numbers have declined. With the dirt, from what I can see, and you have to take my opinion for what it's worth. It's a novice opinion from the dirt standpoint, but
Sure.
the dirt guys seem to have pretty solid numbers depending on where you go, and if a track is doing okay customer service wise, they seem to have pretty good numbers. If it's not broke, I wouldn't try fixing it.
Sure.
One thing that I can tell you from promoting for a few years is that we have never made a rule change in any class that was successful in drawing more cars other than the tire rule. Most of the time people are resistant to change, and it doesn't usually work. We did have some luck with the sportsman division after a couple years, after we made some tweaks to it, but for the most part, people find their way into their class that they want to run in economically, skill set wise, and that's where they plop down. In ABC, it's nice because you can take a car that might be outdated in technology on pavement, and it has a place. It has a time bracket roughly that it'll fall into, or
Sure.
an experience bracket.
Well, and that's one thing that you commented on social media, and you know, I know this because we are friends on social media, and you said last week, you said, the one distinct difference I can see going from pavement tracks to dirt tracks is if you're a guy with an old asphalt car, you've still got a chance. But if you show up to a dirt track with a 1999 UMP modified with no updates, you're going to be out to lunch.
Kind of, and I believe that's true to a degree in some asphalt classes as well, but ABC kind of fills in that difference in that way in pavement. There are still some old pavement modifieds that will win. But it seems to be that if you get on the touring type races, that the best shocks, the best geometry packages, and the best checkbooks seem to find their way to the top every time.
Absolutely. We're talking with Jeff Parish, former racetrack promoter, and we're going to change gears, but we're going to do it after we take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk to Jeff about what he's doing now that he's retired as a promoter. It's all coming up on Horsepower Hour here on Hillsdale TV.
The Hillsdale area has two great places to eat. The first is Olivia's Chop House, a great fine dining restaurant that is great for a quiet night out or dinner with friends. The other is the Saucy Dog, a little more laid back along with a side of barbecue sauce. Both are delicious and come with a hunger for more. So for your next night out, the only thing you need to ask yourself is, what time are we going? Olivia's is on the corner in downtown Jonesville, and the Saucy Dog, US 12.
County National Bank is proud to serve the communities of Hillsdale County, providing financial products and services in 5 branches and a number of ATMs. Since 1934, CNB has been committed to superior customer service, technological innovation, and a tradition of community banking. CNB is celebrating 83 years of being in Hillsdale County. Over the years, we've developed special relationships with our customers, local businesses, organizations, and the community. County National Bank, banking that stays in the community.
Welcome back to Horsepower Hour on Hillsdale TV. I'm your host, Zack Heiser, and today we are visiting with longtime track promoter Jeff Parish. And Jeff, now that your promoting days are over, it's time for you to not only be a car owner and crew chief, but also a father to 2 sons who were big into racing in a class that is kind of taking our area by storm. And now you have one son who is leading the points at Spartan Speedway in a division called Bandoleros. So Jeff, first, what in the world is a Bandolero?
A Bandolero is the brainchild of Humpy Wheeler, I believe. They've been around probably about 15 years, something like that. They're a third size stock car. In the front, they are solid. So they'd be like a car on bump stops or a go-kart or something like that, because they don't have travel in the front suspension, but it is fully adjustable. And in the back, they are a 4-link car, like a dirt 4-link car, or some pavement cars are 4-link too, but they have parallel links on the side with a pannered bar and bird cages on the axles. So they're fully adjustable in the back with coilover suspension, that type of thing. Like the late model technology in the back and in the front to a degree.
So now, Jeff, the main sell on these Bandoleros, you know as well as I do, because I'm going to tell you a story about myself. I started racing when I was 10 years old, but we started in the front-wheel drive division. And, you know, Jeff, the thing about Bandoleros is that they're pretty cheap as far as an entry-level class goes to get your kids started in auto racing.
They seem to hold their value pretty good. So the initial buy-in is what I would say moderate, you know, as far as startup expenditures. But if there's not a lot of crashes, the cost to run one is minimal. We do have a tire rule, and once the tires get worn to a certain point, you have to replace some. But John was winning races on tires that are 3 years old at the start of this year. We've had to put another set on recently because of tire wear. So the tire bill is almost non-existent, which is a wonderful thing in racing.
Oh, yeah.
And there haven't been a lot of crashes this year, so we've been able to focus on setup and those kind of things. And try to go faster,
Well, and the thing about it too, Jeff, is you can't see this, but we are rolling some clips from 2 weeks ago when I was at Spartan for the Figure 8 show that was there. The thing about it is when these cars do get twisted up, they're quick, I guess I would say, to get into and to see what the problem is. You may remember that the one, I believe it was the fast feature or the mature feature, one of the drivers had an issue where he started smoking from the engine compartment, and he was taken to pit side, and they pulled the entire back cowl off the car, looked and seen what they needed to do, and he was back out on the track, and eventually went on to pick up a feature win.
Yeah, he did. That was Logan Houghton. He's a grandson of Dan Logan, a well-known modified driver, and his dad is Wayne Houghton, who is also a well-known modified driver in our area. And Logan's a great competitor, very skillful, and we enjoy racing him very much. The clips from that night, I'm sorry to say we didn't have a very good showing that night, but it was uncharacteristic for us. We found some things that we goofed up on, and we hope to rally back this week.
Yeah, the clip just prior to this, for those watching, you saw that black number 36 rolling through turns 1 and 2 with a little bit of smoke coming out of the front. John just did not have a good night, whether it be setup or whether it be John being a little ruffled up, but he spun coming out of 4 and went through the big puddle that was in the infield, and then he made a little bit of contact opening the feature and had a tire rub. And man, when you're racing with kids, it doesn't take a whole lot to get under their skin.
No, it doesn't. We got collected on the start of that feature, a couple laps in. We got collected in a wreck. The front 2 cars had a little tangle, and it's been very uncharacteristic for this year. There hasn't been a lot of wrecks, and we bent a spindle, and it bent our bumper and put our hood down on our tires, so we weren't able to continue.
Talk to me, Jeff, about there's 2 different divisions, if you will, at Spartan anyhow, of Bandolero classes, and this is something that I absolutely love, and the announcer, Big Ed, made it very clear when I was there. He said, this first division is not necessarily the youngest drivers, it's the most inexperienced.
Yeah. And they leave that up to the parents if they have prior racing experience or not. There's a junior class and a senior class, and you can place your child in the class that you feel like they'd be the most comfortable racing in. And in the junior class, there are 4 kids. 2 of them had 0 racing experience, maybe 3, I'm not sure. A young lady that I've been helping had a year of competing in the juniors before, and she's still in that class now, and we'll probably move up to the seniors next year.
A good friend of yours, and also helps with the Bandolero class, Rob Jenkins. His son Nate right now is one of the movers and shakers at Spartan Speedway. And the reason I bring Nate up is I had a chance to talk with Rob a couple Saturdays ago, and he said, when we run the go-karts, we did okay. And when we did this other thing, we did okay. But we got to Bandoleros, and Nate started to get it. And then he won a championship. And now, Jeff, as you know, he's one of the top contenders in the B division out there at Spartan. Talk about how well this Bandolero class can mold you as a young driver.
Well, it's very helpful, Zach, because in order to be successful in this class, you have to develop skills that will translate into big cars. They're heavier than a go-kart or a quarter midget, and so you have the physics of a heavier car coming into effect in the corners, and they're all about momentum and not scrubbing off corner speed, and they're very sensitive to setup changes, so you have to understand what's going on with your car in order to have success, and your inputs have to be measured and not radical. And those are all things that will translate into lap times as you get into bigger cars. Nate's been a very smooth driver and was able to pull off the championship. He beat my son Zachary a couple years ago for the championship in the senior division, and that same year John, my son, won the junior division championship.
I want to talk about your son John because for those who don't know Jeff, and I hope you don't mind, but your whole family has a disease that slows most people down, but you guys really have tried to not let it affect you. And the reason I bring that up is because John is one of the most dedicated race car drivers I've ever seen, according to what you post on Facebook. This is a young man who's up at the crack of dawn on weekends, tearing that Bandolero apart and looking to see where he can find an extra tenth of a second. Jeff, where does he find that passion?
Well, he's been around it his whole life. And, his oldest brother, Justin, is 27 now, and Justin raced street stocks and late models, and John was there cheering him on when he was 3 or 4 years old and watched, as a young man and saw what we had to do to race cars, and has been with me in the garage on every project that we've ever worked on. And he's taking a shining to the mechanical things, and couple that with he's got a good work ethic, and so it's paying dividends for him when it comes to racing.
And correct me if I'm wrong too. I think it was a couple weeks ago, Jeff, that you posted on Facebook and you said John just found something wrong with the car that I had completely overlooked. And it translated into a handling issue, I believe it was, for the young female driver that you guys help.
Well, I hate to admit, but quite often he finds little things here and there that I've overlooked. And that's one of the things that, his mom's always told him that he's got an evil eye, and he sure does. He's found a few things. He found a thrust washer that had some wear to it from heat, and it could have affected the clutch performance in the car, and there's just lots of little stuff. He found some washers that looked like they had been dragging a little bit on the hub. We'd switched a style washer that we were running to try and take up some clearance on our front suspension, and the car felt differently to him, and he got looking, and he could see where these washers were rubbing on the hubs. And
wow,
and
that's amazing.
He can tell when his kingpins are too tight by how much steering input he has to put into the car, and it's just
some things that us veteran racers definitely still do wrong.
Yeah, he's got a lot of skill sets for 13 years old. So
that's
I'm
amazing.
Very proud of him.
We're talking with car owner and former track promoter Jeff Parish, and we're going to wrap up the conversation, but first we've got to take a quick break. You're watching Horsepower Hour here on Hillsdale TV.
There's a reason the professionals shop at Jonesville Lumber. They expect quality, service, and knowledge. And that's exactly what they receive. For nearly 100 years, Jonesville Lumber has been family owned. We take pride in serving our area with great products at competitive prices. We have dedicated project estimators in-house that will help figure the materials needed to complete your next task at hand. Whether you're building your dream home, adding a pole barn, building a deck, updating your kitchen, or painting your front door, let Jonesville Lumber help you with your next project.
Welcome back to Horsepower Hour here on Hillsdale TV. I'm your host, Zack Heiser. Don't forget to join the conversation on Facebook, facebook.com/Hillsdale TV. You can also follow this specific show, Horsepower Hour with Zack Heiser, on Facebook. And don't forget that we're available on all sorts of media platforms, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and of course our homepage, HillsdaleTV.com. Today we're talking with Jeff Parish, former track promoter around the state and a current car owner and father of Bandolero driver John Parish. And as we finish up our conversation today, Jeff, for those dads and moms who are interested maybe in getting into the Bandolero class, what's their first step? Where do they go? How do they find more information and maybe even find a chassis or a whole startup operation?
Well, I would encourage them to come out and check things out at Spartan Speedway, or, they can look me up on Facebook. I do help Jim with some sales now and then with cars, but there are lots of used cars around the state that are going to be for sale, and Flat Rock is adding the division next year as well. So I'm sure that there's going to be more cars coming into the area. There are some teams that will be selling out some of their stuff because kids do age out.
Sure.
And there's cars all the time on Racing Junk and things like that.
Absolutely.
When they first started the class, I drove to Texas to get Zack's first car.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I got a great deal. So it was kind of a fun weekend trip, but I probably would not do that now because, knowing you don't know what you don't know. And
absolutely,
we've learned a lot, and probably could make a locally attained car work better. There weren't any when we first started. It was 4 years ago, and the division was new to the area, but there's some cars in the area now.
Well, and that's the cool thing too, Jeff, is 4 years ago there's nothing, and now you guys are able to run two divisions out at Spartan. That's a big testament to the safety of this class, the competition of this class, the learning curve of this class, and the main point, the last point, Jeff, that I really wanted to touch on is you see those victory lane photos with these kids who win features. Almost every driver that they raced against and beat is down there in victory lane with them. The support from their fellow racers is just awesome in this class.
It is, and it's uncharacteristic for racing. It's something that we've worked hard to foster. In my family, we're very competition driven. We don't like getting beat. But you can be friends with that guy that you want to kick his butt. You can be friends with him and have a great relationship. And luckily, we do have great relationships with the people we race against. It can be done. It starts with the parents, and even when we have an off night as parents, these kids are being kids. They love being around each other. They love each other's successes. And they are sympathetic when things don't work out for their friends.
Absolutely.
So it's a really good thing to see in racing. I love it.
If you want to check out the Bandolero division at the Spartan Speedway, Friday evenings, 7:30. Check to make sure they're on the schedule. SpartanSpeedway.com. Jeff, before I let you go, one more thing. What's the expectation as a parent, in a Bandolero class? John's leading the points right now in the senior division, and what do you look for from John for the rest of the season as we're about halfway through?
Well, I hope he keeps doing things the way that he has, and if he does, we're going to have a good time and let things sort themselves out. We have some stiff competition, and you can rest assured that we had 2 weeks off, and I'm confident that they were working on their stuff and we were working on ours. So
absolutely,
it's all good. We're looking forward to the rest of the season, and I hope whoever the champion is has a wonderful time at it, because it is a lot of fun.
Very good. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today. A little bit of an issue getting you going, but I've loved the conversation that we've been able to have today on Horsepower Hour. If you want to talk to Jeff and John and see what they're doing in the Bandolero division against Spartan Speedway, Friday nights, check the schedule at SpartanSpeedway.com. And again, Jeff, thanks so much for joining us here today.
It's my pleasure, Zach. Take care.
All right, we'll be right back with more action on Horsepower Hour here on Hillsdale TV.
The Saucy Dogs is the name, and barbecue is the game. Come on down for a good time and some great food. At Saucy Dogs, try our barbecue nachos or our tasty ribs. We'll have you howling for more. Saucy Dogs, downtown Jonesville.
Nash Drugs in Hillsdale and Jonesville is your independently owned and operated Health Mart pharmacy. We have a lot to offer, including medication synchronization, immunizations, blister packaging, prescription compounding, and delivery. Or come see us at our Market House location, where we offer convenient drive-through services. Also for our customers, we have utility payment services and a photo maker center at our Hillsdale and Jonesville location. Stop in and shop our Hallmark Gold Crown selection of cards for every occasion. Nash Drugs, caring for you and about you.
Welcome back to Horsepower Hour on Hillsdale TV. I'm your host, Zack Heiser, and now we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to roll to the world of NASCAR. But we're going to keep a local angle on it. How are we going to do that? Well, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series went to play in the dirt on Wednesday. Kenny Wallace and Fox Sports tell us more about the half-mile clay oval called Eldora.
We grew up learning, watching, and dreaming of one day, victory, covered in dust. It's in our blood. It's in my blood. It lives in our soul. When you travel down U.S. Route 118, past the vast fields of golden corn, there lies an American icon, Eldora Speedway, a landmark that is steeped in motorsports tradition, a track that serves as the mecca for Ohio's rich sprint car history, a place where names are made, where kids who dream of royalty can become a king. The best of the best from all walks of racing life have competed on Eldora's high banks. Andretti, Foyt, Gordon, and Stewart. Legacy passed from the hands of legends to a new generation of drivers, Larson, Kane, Bell. The past intersecting with the future. What Earl Baltus started back in the 50s now rests in the hands of a man they call Smoke. Tony Stewart's love and passion for racing has ushered in a new era, NASCAR history with a modern twist. In 4 short years, the trucks have produced captivating drama, beating and banging, slingshots and slide jobs, heartbreak, and jubilation. It's that excitement which draws thousands of fans every year to flock to the middle of nowhere, past the Speedway's ballroom, through the Love Tunnel, and into a thick cloud of dirt, an instant summer classic. And we wouldn't have it any other way.
In the dirt, playing at Eldora Speedway, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, making their 4th appearance for the Dirt Derby, or the Dirt Derby, is what they were calling it at the Eldora Speedway. And the reason that this race draws so much attention is because these are race car drivers that either A, have come from the dirt circuit and have experience in the world of dirt, or B, they come from pavement-only racing and have 0 experience on the dirt, and that's what makes this race one that everybody circles on their calendar if they're in the Camping World Truck Series division, as the Eldora Speedway can be a chance for no-name drivers, if you will, to make a name for themselves, or for the professionals to take a big hit in the point standings. One of those people who was looking to improve their run in the 2017 point standings was that of Matt Crafton in that 88 machine, and Matt had not done overly well the past few years at Eldora Speedway, and he hadn't been doing overly well this season in the regular Craftsman or Make That Camping World Truck Series. And the funny story about Matt Crafton, he actually went out at the beginning of this season and bought himself a UMP modified to get more seat time in the dirt so that he could be better prepared for the race at Eldora. And I tell you what, it paid off. And again, courtesy of Fox Sports, we take a look at the final half mile and get Matt Crafton's thoughts after the showdown in the dirt at Eldora Speedway.
Potential winners throughout the course of the day. Matt Crafton's name wasn't mentioned. Sure, he's been running better. He's been working extra on the dirt to try to get better, but never really saw him as a driver that was going to come out here and win this race. And now with a couple of laps to go, he's threatening to do it. 2 to go for Matt Crafton. It's been more than a year. Who would have thought that the drought would end on the dirt at Eldora, and he's getting close to doing it.
He's just hoping everybody keeps it straight for another half a lap. He can get this white flag and put this one in his rearview mirror.
It's amazing what happens when you put a champion's back up against the wall and you watch him come out and make a performance like this.
You got that right. This is a special team. He and Crew Chief Junior Joyner have a great relationship, and they're making it happen.
It's the final lap at Eldora, and while they battle for second and third behind him, no one is going to challenge Matt Crafton. The winless streak is over. It's been 27 races, and tonight he will go to victory lane, winning at the Big E.
Good work. Really good work. Thank you, guys.
That's awesome. Most important thing to him right now, Kevin, that is he has won Eldora. He's going to get the golden shovel, but then it's going to sink in. We're getting ready to go race for a championship again. And these boys, this team, Junior Joyner, Matt Crafton, they know how to go championship racing.
Matt Crafton climbing out of this Toyota in victory lane at Eldora. Matt, a lot of emotion for this victory, and you've won a lot of big races, won championships. Where does this win stack up for you?
My first dirt win. A lot of fun. In the second part of that race, we darn right just stunk. It was my fault. We over-tightened it on the first run. We were pretty good, and I thought we were a little bit too free. We tightened it up, and then we just went back to exactly where we started the race. And Rico and them guys drove by me up top, and I'm like, Crafton, you got to put this thing on the fence down there. And I knew I was getting beat down there, and I found something in the middle over here in 1 and 2. And finally at the end, I'm like, well, we're going to tear the right side off this thing or take it to victory lane. Learning what the track does and seeing what spots on the racetrack in the years past, I didn't know what I was looking at, to be totally honest. And just kept studying and had a lot of great people here. I mean, Nick Hoffman came here and helped me during the test, and they're telling me go down here in the dirt and spin the tires. I'm like, why? But I started doing it, and this thing was just a rocket ship, this one, our Toyota Tundra.
And what about this winless streak we've been talking about?
You can go, but where the sun don't shine.
That's Matt Crafton. He's in victory lane at Eldora.
So a good win for Matt Crafton, and gives himself a chance at getting back in the running for another NASCAR Camping World Truck Series championship in 2017. More big news this week out of the world of NASCAR is the seat has been filled for that number 88 machine, and the driver that has been hired to take over the wheel in 2018 is the driver that started behind the wheel in 2017, and that's the young Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman did some fill-in work for Hendrick Racing last year when Dale Earnhardt Jr. was injured after the race at Michigan where he had concussion-like symptoms. Alex Bowman and Jeff Gordon flip-flopped in the seat for that car, and it's paid off after Dale Jr. announced his retirement in April. The big question was, who's going to take over the ride come 2018? And everybody had that young driver on their list. Alex Bowman confirmed as of Thursday that he will be behind the wheel of the nationwide number 88 machine in 2018. He started the season in 2017 behind the wheel of that car, running the Daytona Clash. Dale Earnhardt Jr. said at the beginning of the season that Alex Bowman earned it. He grabbed the pole in 2016, so he's running the Clash in 2017, and Bowman finished third in the Clash, barely getting beat out for second place by Kyle Busch. So big news there. Filling some big shoes, but Hendrick Motorsports has said Dale Earnhardt Jr. will still be around the garage in 2018, offering any sort of support and advice that he can to the young Alex Bowman. That's the second driver, according to the Motor Racing Network, MRN.com. That's the second driver that Hendrick Motorsports will have hired to race in the Cup Series under the age of 30, as young Chase Elliott races the number 24 machine. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll sign off and get you some bonus coverage. You're watching Horsepower Hour here on Hillsdale TV.
Nash Drugs in Hillsdale and Jonesville is your independently owned and operated Health Mart pharmacy. We offer prescription compounding, delivery, med synchronization, immunizations, Hallmark Gold Crown cards, and gifts for every occasion. Nash Drugs, caring for you and about you.
To most banks, everyone looks the same. Because they don't see you, all they see are numbers and statistics. That may not matter until you need a loan. But County National Bank sees you as an individual with value beyond what shows on a credit report. CNB is a local bank with local lenders using local appraisers who work harder to get you the loan you need. Everyone is not the same. We're local, just like you. CNB, banking that stays in the community.
On your feet and wave to your drivers. Those drivers appreciate you fans in the stands. Without you guys, we couldn't be doing this. They know it. We appreciate each and every one of you. Last chance for 3. Next time. Clock. Rounding out the top 3 in versus legal. Top 2 going to win. Zack, your top 4. We're only taking 2. for that 48 coming out of 4. Good run out of 3, up to the rear bumper for that 48, holds him up down the 24 is Leo, the 41 is Jack. Mr. BB waves the white flag, last flag. Driving in deep, right up to the rear bumper, gives him a nudge. Coming to the line, your winner, the 48.
That's going to do it for this edition of Horsepower Hour on Hillsdale TV. Hope you enjoyed the bonus coverage. Thanks to Fox Sports and NASCAR for their clips that we used. And special thanks to Jeff Parish for letting us talk to him today about bandoleros and track promotion and everything in between. Hope you'll join us again next Saturday, 1 o'clock, Horsepower Hour on Hillsdale TV.